Hi everyone, and welcome to TWF Dynamite or Might. Mike Lane, Tony Schiavone, and Taz here. And today on Dynamite or Might, we're going to see the match that we saw on Monday Night Raw, or Monday Night Raw, because Braun Strowman will fight Donald Trump again. And keep in mind, Mike Lane said Donald Trump is no wrestler. He is no fighter. He never was. Yes, he may have won the bid to have 2 WrestleManises at one year. He may have been put in the Hall of Honor look one year, and he may have even rode down Vince McMahon and taken a stunner from Steve Austin at one year's WrestleManias. And he may have been the half owner of WWE for 2 weeks and the main overseer of Raw for about 2 weeks. You know. But he was never a wrestler, never a fighter, Mike Lane says. You got that right. You got that right, Mike, Tony Schiavone says. Donald Trump has either been a businessman his whole life or a lawmaker. And he hopes he'll be chosen again as the foresitter of the 4-1 Reichs of North Vinland come this 11th month for the next 4 years, if anyone chooses for him. Well, I don't know who is not going to be choosing for Donald Trump. And I don't know if Donald Trump has threatened that he will do a law work on either the Toy Wrestling Gathering or Braun Strowman with his lawyer, Rudolph Giovanni, who was not his lawyer, believe it or not. And now he's going to come back again. You know, he's going to come back again and most likely see what songs and tells he says, what lies he tells. Taz says, we're going to the ring now. Alright, folks, everyone says that I lie about every single thing I ever done in my life. Well, here's some truth, folks. I am a friend of Vince McMahon. That's not a lie. A lot of folks seem to think that Vince McMahon is catching up to me in the unlawful and unsinful things. Sadly, the great Vincent Kennedy McMahon, he'll have to work years if he wants to catch up to what I've been doing. Not that I'm saying what I'm doing is right. I was never a wrestler. I was never a fighter. Yes, I may have won the bid to have 2 WrestleManises in the early days. I was put in the Wrestling Hall, WWE's Hall of Honor look one year. I was at one WrestleManis when I closed staked down Vince McMahon and got stunned by Steve Austin. And I was the half owner of WWE and the main overseer of Raw for 2 weeks in a saga and tale. But I was never a wrestler. And Braun Strowman, I am gonna have a law work on you. Not on the Toy Wrestling Gathering, but on you yourself. I talked with my lawyer, Rudolph Giovanni. That is his name, folks. I'm not making it up. Rudolph is one of the sundriest English, German, Dutch names out there. Hell, could be a Norwegian or a Swedish or a Danish name too, for all I know. Or a Luxembourgish name. Or Icelandish name. Or, hell, could even be whatever. But he's gonna law work, and I will be. You think that I'm frightened of you or your so-called shitty lawyer, Rudolph Giovanni, who he couldn't get you out of the bind that you were in when you were in the ring with me. You should be frightened of my lawyer, Rudolph Giovanni, because he has kept me from being put in lockup. And one of these days, you're going to be put in lockup, Donald. Because your lawyer can't help you forever. Sooner or later, all the misdeeds you did's going to lead you going to a hearing, then to a seek, then to a stretch, and then either lockup. But most likely a gathering lockup is where you're going to go to. You had no right to put your hands on me. I'm law working you. I'm going to see you in a hearing. I'm going to see you in a stretch. Yeah, that's if you make it. That's if you make it. Don't you know that I am the former four-setter of the 4-1 Reichs from 2007 between while to 2021 while, and I will soon be a 2-time four-setter of the 4-1 Reichs? Yeah, if the half of the 50 Reichs choose for you. You back up right now. Because I have put a law work on you. And I will have to go through the whole lawful thing to get a backing set up on you. What? A restraining order. Or a keep back setup. That means that you can't be so many you gotta be very far away from me. And if you're not, I get to call either the gathering, the Reich, the shared and near law keepers, and then they put you away. Well, it looks like you're in the wrestling ring. So you fucked up on that one. So what we're going to do is, folks, we're going to get these hands. And you're going to get these. Oh, look, it's Clarence Mason, the leadership under four-setter, head lawful follower. Donald Trump just... Hey, first off, he hit me. Yeah, it was a mistake. First off, I am the head lawful follower for the toy wrestling gathering, Clarence Mason. I understand that your lawyer, Rudolph Giovanni, has done a law work, not on the toy wrestling gathering, but on Braun Strowman himself. However, the toy wrestling gathering has on the stand that you were in the wrestling ring and that you did choose to want to wrestle Braun Strowman. However, you seem to think that you're saying that it was one-sided. Well, we had the leadership, gathering look into that. And what they learned was that, yeah, you did make a deal to wrestle Braun Strowman. Because during that match, you did not say no to it. What do you mean, Clarence Mason? I did say no to it. You didn't say no to it when it was going on. You only said no to it after the bell rang, after the ringer went off. However, we will come up with a deal if you want a settling. With what? If you choose not to take your law work off the toy wrestling gathering, it's not on the toy wrestling gathering, Clarence. It's against that man, Braun Strowman. Well, here is a deal, Donald Trump. Take it or leave it, because this is the deal that the TWF Board of Overseers, the TWF leadership, and have come up with, is that if you choose to have a match with Braun Strowman and Braun Strowman beats you, then yeah, the law work is off. However, if you beat him, your law work is on. Well, I guess I'll do that because I know I can smoothly beat this shithead. But I'm choosing what match I get. Yes, what match do you want? I want it where I get the kick in between the legs. Alright then. Well, tell me, how fair is that? Mike Lane says. Donald Trump is mostly a weakling that he, you know, wants to have a match where he can lawfully kick Braun Strowman between the legs. You know, there is a lot of misbelief going on about kicking folks between the legs. You know, some folks seem to think that it is a weakling strike, which yes it is, Mike Lane says. It ain't fair at all, but then Donald Trump has never played fair in his whole life, Tony Schiavone says. It is just another way for him to fuck with someone. Only this time Donald Trump, you know, can't... Oh, come on, Taz said. No fair. Donald Trump didn't get elected. Kick him between the legs again. Oh, and you truly wanted to see that happen? Mike Lane said. Donald Trump with a Braun Strowman with his body slam. You kidding me? Tony Schiavone says. Taz, you truly wanted to see Donald Trump do that? Somehow that would make your day? 1, 2. And only a kick, only 2. Well, no, because Braun Strowman wants to beat up Donald Trump again, Tony Schiavone said. Mike Lane said another body slam. Come on, Taz says. He has to be in good health if he wants to be chosen as the fourth sitter of the 4-1 Reichs again come this 11th month. Taz says. 1, 2, 3. Ding, ding, ding. Here is your winner. And here is your winner, Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman, he now got hair back on his head again. So he's matching up to the 2 other dolls that he had that were made of him. Or the 3rd doll that was made of him, but the first 2. Well, that's unfair, Taz says. I mean, Donald Trump didn't even get any off, didn't wrestle, didn't fight. But then again, Taz said he was never a wrestler, never a fighter. Backed into his side, opened his mouth, and put himself in a bind he didn't know he put himself into. Well, you know what, Taz says. Well, you know what, Mike Lane said. He knew what he was getting into. He opened his mouth. He made a deal to make the match that he could kick Braun Strowman between the legs. I don't know why he came up with that one for. He's got no one to guilt by himself, Mike Lane said. True, Tony Schiavone said. Donald Trump is no wrestler, no fighter, no showman. He is no sportsman or whatever you want to call folks. What do you want to call them? But yeah, and since he was never a wrestler, never a fighter, that's why he never could make good on could never, stand a luck of hitting Braun Strowman between the legs, Tony Schiavone says. We only know one thing, Mike Lane said. If it wasn't for Clarence Mason, the head lawful follower of the toy wrestling gathering, who has been here since between 97 YL, we don't know what would have happened, Mike Lane says. Who knows, Tony Schiavone says, and Clarence Mason didn't become the head lawyer of the toy wrestling gathering until now. Mostly in the past he was an overseer, and most of the folks he was the overseer were in the Land of Overtaken team, Mike Lane said. I can tell you right now, Tony Schiavone says, Donald Trump, we may hopefully saw the last of him here in the toy wrestling gathering. I still think Mike Lane and Tony Schiavone, I still think it was unfair, Taz says. I truly believe it was unfair. Well, taken away, Mike Lane says, to Mike today. Thank you, Mike Lane and Tony Schiavone. I'm going to be talking with the head lawful follower of the toy wrestling gathering, Clarence Mason. Clarence Mason, is it true that as the head lawful follower of the toy wrestling gathering, you had to carry out what deal that you worked out between Donald Trump and his lawyer, Rudolph Giovanni, and also the four setter, Hunter Helmsley, and under four setter, Jeff Jarrett. First off, I am not in freedom to speak about what deal that four-setter Paul Triple H Quebec or Hunter Helmsley and under four-setter Jeff Jarrett worked out. We had to come up with a deal that would get the law work off the toy wrestling gathering. Even though we know that Donald Trump law worked only Braun Strowman, he could smoothly shift it and law work us. Well, what if Donald Trump says that he was lied to and he was pulled, that he went in this match against his free will? Well, we got it on film that he didn't make a deal that he wanted to wrestle or fight Braun Strowman. So no, he can't pull that. Have we seen the last of him? Hopefully we have. But as a lawyer, as a head lawyer, I'm a busy man, and I gotta be going now. Well, that was our talk with Clarence Mason, the leadership under four-sitter, head lawful follower of the toy wrestling gathering. Back to you, Mike Lane and Tony Schiavone. Well, thank you, Mike, today for talking with Clarence Mason here today on Dynamite or Mite. And it's all the time we got here for Dynamite or Mite. I, Mike Lane, Tony Schiavone, and Taz. We hope you like Dynamite or Mite, and we'll see you tomorrow for Impact or Hit.